Matt, do you know what Maul's canonical first name is?
I think it's Marty.
No, it's Strip. This is Jabba the Pod. Right, sons, and welcome to SYFY WIRE's Jabba the Pod, our weekly Star Wars podcast where we discuss and celebrate the movies, shows, books, comics, games, and everything else from the galaxy far, far away. Every generation is a legend, every legend is a podcast, and this is ours. I am your host, disgraced former Jedi and Force mystic Brian Silliman. Joining me, as always, are the greatest co-hosts in the galaxy, starting with former Force-sensitive Assassins Guild member turned droids rights activist Caitlin Bush.
Hello there.
As well as the man who lets us record on his starship, the smuggler with a not-so-secret heart of gold, captain of the Star Binger, Matt Romano.
Greetings.
Now, it is May 1st, 2020, so there is a brand new episode of Star Wars: The Clone Wars.
Sir, yes, sir.
Hit Disney Plus early this morning, so of course we are going to discuss the Kark and Criff out of it. Now, there's going to be some new canon coming at us, and when there is, we'll fire off our trusty cannon. If we have hot takes along the way, we will sound the hot take alarm, and if anything really blew our minds, then we will let loose with a seismic mind charge. Now, this is for the video segment of the show. We are sticking just with our Clone Wars discussion, but for the full episode, be sure to check us out on, because I can't say iTunes anymore, Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, that's the name. That's what it is. You know?
Well, it sounds dumb. Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcast for the full episode, and it's really something else. So check us out there. But in the meantime, because we don't want you to be spoiled, there's a logical way. Don't watch this video unless you've seen the episode we're about to discuss, because we're going to spoil the hell out of it. So we will be nice and sound the spoiler klaxon. Let's hear it. More. That's right. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Frozen fractals all around my magical train. Come on. Oh, good. Yeah, okay. And with that, punch it.
Begun. The Clone War has.
You're stuck with me, Sky Guy.
The Clone Wars 7/11, Season 7, Episode 11, the penultimate episode of Star Wars: The Clone Wars.
Man.
For now.
We're so close. We're so close.
Until they bring it back again.
Until they relaunch it 10 years from now.
Just you wait, Henry Higgins. They'll bring it back. May 1st, 2020, the new episode hit Disney Plus early this morning. And it is 26 minutes long. Not that timestamps mean anything to us anymore. The title, Shattered. Which is appropriate. We saw a lot of imagery of shattering glass last week, which we'll get more into this week in a later section. But this week we are Shattered. Written by Dave Filoni, directed by Saul Ruiz. And again, we start right off with the Lucasfilm Limited title again. And this is something that I don't think we've pointed out on the show, that it's fitting that they keep doing this, but it's something that Sam Witwer talked about with us, I believe, and also in other interviews, that this is really the last Star Wars that George Lucas touched. It's the last thing that he had direct involvement in, and he didn't, work on this new season, but he was there when they were laying the track for where this would go, and he also loves this series. He created this series, obviously. It's where he started working with Dave Filoni, and this series is very important to him, and he really loves these new episodes. We've heard that Filoni and others have been saying he's been calling and saying how much he loves it and everything else.
I mean, and here's the thing too, even if he hadn't been involved with the laying of the track of these episodes, there's still the knowledge that he created the thing that this is like going straight into.
Yeah.
Like he created the impetus for this narrative in the first place.
Exactly. Yes. And he's also the one that came in the first day. He's like, okay, Anakin has a Padawan. Her name is Ahsoka. And they were like, what? No, he doesn't.
What,
like,
George?
What?
He doesn't.
No, he has a Padawan. That's what we're doing. Okay. And she's
We've just never seen her
She
before.
has a green lightsaber. I know all about her anyway. And they're like, what? And now, and everyone's like, that sounds dumb. And now it's like, she's the most beloved character of all time. And so it really is fitting that it kind of begins with that old school Lucas title for many reasons, as well as just as I said already, is a cheap
Yeah.
move and kicks me in the.
I didn't
I'll just
really,
say it.
I didn't
kicks
really
me-
think about
every
that.
time it pops up. It kicks me right in the balls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Well,
didn't-
and
I
then
didn't
we
realize
also
that
get
connection.
But we also get the orange logo too. Instead of the red that we've gotten, we get the Ahsoka orange.
Yeah,
logo.
and it's stationary. It's not. It's doesn't. It's always different. It's not playing by the usual Clone Wars rule book. It doesn't play. It plays by its own rules, which is appropriate. And we get part 3, Shattered.
Yeah.
Once
Matt,
again,
what were you saying though?
yeah.
Oh, no,
we don't.
no,
We
I-
don't care. We don't. Care.
We don't care.
No,
We have
no,
to-
Matt.
but I
What were you
have
saying? What were you saying? I'm serious. What were you saying?
No, it's a really kind of just obvious comment, but it's like, I didn't realize that nod to Lucas, but what I did realize watching this episode is that story is incredible. Like the whole plan that the Emperor had the whole time.
Oh,
and how
yeah.
These past few episodes has just enhanced everything for me. Like Clone Wars always has.
Yeah.
But man, they after these episodes, the prequels have a totally different place
they'll-
in my mind.
They'll never be the same again. Not only
Never.
Revenge of the Sith, the prequels will never be the same again. I don't think
Yeah.
the saga as a whole will ever be the same again because Palpatine, as we know, tops and tails, like it or not, all 9 movies, and even stuff like Solo and Rogue One are affected. Rebels is affected. So Jedi Fallen Order, the game is affected. So this affects everything. It tweaks
Everything.
just in a good way. I mean,
Yeah.
and that's what Clone Wars has always done, is that it enhances the prequels and it makes you appreciate them more. And say what you want about the prequels, and God knows people have, but about, they have their faults here and there. But the overall mythology that George created, again, he's not my best friend, that Mr. George Lucas, bless you, created about Palpatine's overall plan in the prequels is brilliant. And how where he starts in Phantom Menace to how he executes it, and how he adapts in little places here and there. It adapts for a Qui-Gon here or a Chosen One there. He adapts his plan, and it's brilliant. And and it's just enhanced by this. And that overall arc of his plan is, I agree, it's brilliant, and we see exactly how brilliant. And that's George. That's George. So say what you want about the prequels, but I even before Clone Wars, I maintained that was true. And
Thank you, George. Thank
even
you,
more
George.
so. Thank you, George.
you, George.
We really do love you.
Matt, that was good.
George, come on the show. Come on the show. You never do interviews or podcasts, so why not just say screw it? We'll do that one.
Dude, Jabba the Pod, yeah.
If you want George Lucas on Jabba the Pod, press 1. Anyway, again, no narration. We're just right in on Mandalore in the aftermath of what we just said. So I'll give us narration. Maul captured is what it would be if there was any on Mandalore. And everything's kind of cube-like, even the trees. And Bo-Katan comes right in and is like, you actually captured him. I'm impressed. And Ahsoka says that that's what the council wanted. They wanted him captured. And with a hint of disdain in her voice. And like she is doing what the council wanted, even though she's like,
She would have killed him.
yeah, she's like, does not really have any respect for the council, nor should she.
Right.
Because that's
Especially after this episode.
And then after what they did to her. But she says she learned from the best, including Bo-Katan. And Bo-Katan says she wishes she was good at something other than war. And Ahsoka tells her people need a new kind of leader. And I love this. Totally sets up Bo-Katan's arc that we later see on Rebels, where Bo-Katan is learning from Sabine and the Wren family and everyone else, how to step up and actually be a leader. She's not her sister, and she's very different from where she is here. She finds, another path. And that is the story of Bo-Katan. This is like, if this is Clone Wars is where it begins, Rebels is where it continues. I'm desperate to see how we got from where we see her with the Darksaber and Rebels to how the hell Moff Gideon got it.
Yes.
In Mandalorian.
I mean, it's a very Ahsoka story too. Choosing your own way, finding out, failing in your expectations, the expectations that people have for you, and then finding your own way.
Yeah, they're definitely mirrors of each other in a wonderful way, and not a shattered mirror. But it's also, and not only because they have the same taste in headgear. Ahsoka wears, an identical Bo-Katan headgear and has slightly
Headgear
Mando
besties.
things, traded in her jumpsuit for a slightly Mando thing. And I wonder if Bo-Katan's like, I know we kind of beat the crap out of each other in season 4, but you want to borrow some stuff out of my closet because that jumpsuit has got to go.
You want to have a fashion show?
Yeah, that's what they totally did. After between arcs, they had a 5-arc fashion show.
Fashion show at lunch.
It was great. Rex comes in saying that the council is on the horn. Ahsoka is eager to talk to Anakin, as Obi-Wan suggested last episode. And again, when I was rewatching that episode last night, this morning, I'm like, oh, if only. And I love that Obi-Wan knows it's like, I'm not going to be able to get through to him on this, but I know who can. And Ahsoka really is the only one. And it makes sense because this obviously came after, as we were saying, after Revenge of the Sith. It makes sense that, why didn't Ahsoka come in Revenge of the Sith or something if she was still around or something? That's why everyone just assumed that she'd have to be dead at this point because she's like not even mentioned in Revenge of the Sith. Anakin he's really off on his own little spiritual journey at this point. But if they could, I thought of both of because I'm like, oh, if they could just talk, but then we don't have the entire
We
rest
know
of the
that's not
saga.
gonna happen.
We have like happiness for another 6 movies. No.
It's not a hug.
Yeah, there's no hug. There's not going to be a hug. I mean, we do eventually get a Rex Ahsoka hug in Rebels, if that helps.
Yeah, that does help.
I post that GIF all the time. Anyway, so we have the Council Hollow session, and we finally get to what we've been talking about. And it's not as big a deal as we thought. It's just I sense a plot to destroy the Jedi scene, and if he does not give over his power after the removal of Grievous, he should be removed from office from big-headed spiff. And it's the scene from Revenge of the Sith, but this time it keeps going. And Ahsoka and Rex entered to report. And this confirms timeline-wise where we are. There were a lot of tweets last week that the lightsaber duel between Maul and Ahsoka happens at the same time Sidious fights Maul, and then Sidious fights Mace, rather. Yeah. And then Anakin does that thing and how it syncs up. And it does sync up kind of cool, but that's not what the timeline is, especially after seeing this episode. It's clear. That hasn't happened yet. It's about to. They are, I mean, they're happy with her. And at this point, it's like, who cares? And it's interesting that they all kind of vanish. It's one by one. Ayla vanishes, Kiadi vanishes, then Mace, and then it's just Yoda. And that was a nice...
Well, here's the thing. We have to pause because friggin' Mace Windu, with his snarky little comment...
I'm sorry, citizen. These matters are for the council to discuss.
She doesn't get to have any sort of, it makes so much sense. It's so in
it's
character.
like
She just captured Maul. She just captured Maul.
I
like
did
that
my
none
duty.
of them could do.
She says, I did my duty as a citizen, and Yoda says, not as a Jedi. And Ahsoka says, no, not yet. And it's interesting because this is also, I think, the talk of her being a citizen and a citizen's duty immediately made me think of the Martez arc. And again, the importance of that being in there. Do you think, let's start with Caitlin. Question for you, Caitlin. Do you think that at this point, because I've never thought that Ahsoka would, if given the offer after this, if things went a different way, would return to the Jedi Order. But after Yoda said not as a Jedi and she said no, not yet, I was like, if she was asked, say they said, okay, after all this, we did a really bad job with that, the war's over, come back and be a Jedi Knight, you're no longer a Padawan, be a Jedi Knight. Do you think she'd say yes?
I don't think she would. I don't? I think it's very much it's the continuation of finding your own path. She would do something similar to what we've seen in the sequel trilogy, which is that, go off, find your own way to be a Jedi and figure out what that path is for yourself. So even if it weren't, quote unquote, a Jedi in the terms of how the Mace Windus of the world see it, I feel like it's the kind of Jedi that even like Yoda would accept and respect at this point.
Well, like Trace Martez says, it's like she's doing what the Jedi should do.
Yeah.
Which has continued to play through my mind, during this whole arc. I mean, I kind of feel like she might say yes, but I have some things have to change. It's like you have to. I require a personal apology from everyone that voted against me. I require 16 buttermilk pancakes. And also,
I require a hug from my master.
yeah, and wouldn't mind some extended minutes so I can call Onderon, see what's going on with Lux. Matt, do you think she? Because I would say no, yeah, but she says no, and then she says not yet, and I'm like, maybe down the road she might consider it, not now. But down the line, because she's not seeing any, Order 66. She doesn't. That's the thing with this whole episode. We know what's about to happen. They don't.
Yeah.
At this point.
Well, and not to jump ahead too, but she has that line later in the episode where she talks about, how she's always been a soldier. She never really got to be a Jedi. So I could see her possibly going back if things were to get better, which we know they're not going to. But if they had won the war and the Jedi kind of became peacekeepers again, I could see her being attracted to that, like finally getting to be.
That's a good point.
Yeah, a regular Jedi.
Yeah,
it's
getting to be what the Jedi were always meant to be.
Let's go back to basics. Let's spend some time, maybe find Octo and really meditate in the Force, or go to frickin' Dagobah, and Yoda can take them all on his Force journey of discovery. Yeah, that's what. And now we can cleanse the war out of us. Unfortunately, Yoda knows that's not. He knows that they're going to lose. I mean, and that's the brilliance of the trap. No matter what they do, they are screwed.
Hey, and do you guys think this is that was Yoda's last moment in the series? It felt like he gets to say, "May the Force be with you," fades out. You think that's the last we see of Yoda?
I think normally so.
Yeah, Caitlin. Yeah.
Well, I can't. Thinking about the rest of the timeline that we're dealing with in Revenge of the Sith, now that we're just like we're going straight down that path. There's really not another moment where Yoda isn't directly dealing with some shit.
Yeah.
Where he would have a moment to breathe and be like, let's see if Ahsoka's still alive.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
I think that the next time, I think you're right. I think it's the next time. I think that's it for all of these guys. I think
Bo-Katan,
when we said it's we'll see the other side, we'll see more of Order 66. I don't think we're gonna. Obviously, we don't see it in this episode. I don't think we're going to either, because what they ended up doing is it's much more intimate, and it's about this is really about Ahsoka and Rex and how they're dealing with this, and it's on an intimate scale. Those are our original creations, and this is our outliers. These are our dangling threads. What happens with all the other legacy characters, pretty much. Exactly. And they give you just enough to. And then I was like, oh, we're not going to see it. And then I was like, that's kind of okay. I kind of don't want to see it. I don't need more Order 66 in my life. And we get it, and it would kind of take away from it in the movie, because that's such a powerful part in the movie. And also, it would take away from. This is a story about Ahsoka and Rex, and secondarily Maul. It's not. We know Order 66. We don't need to see more of it. As much as I don't know why I'm so hung up on seeing how they take out Terrace Anube, but because I love him. But I don't know why I want more pain. But I think you're right. I think the next time Ahsoka sees Yoda is in Rebel Season 2, where he gives her Yoda gives her that wave. I mean, there could always be a Force vision after he's exiled on Dagobah, where he's like, "Wait, you must." It's like, become fulcrum, you do. The thing is, this goes right in, and we'll talk about this too, this goes right into the E.K. Johnston Ahsoka book, and where that doesn't happen. So it's I think you're right, Matt, and they're playing fast and loose with the canon of that book, which is interesting that they're breaking with it that way. It's also the first time a book has preceded a show or something in that way, so of course the show is going to do its own thing. But yeah, I think anyway, this is a really long way of saying I think you're right, Matt. I think
I love when you say that. I love the sound of that. Can we cut
the rarity?
I think you're right, Matt. Yeah. I've said it before.
I feel like that's a recording right there.
Also, it's like also it's we can go back and forth all we want, but you are my boss. So what am I? So I know which way my bread is buttered. Come on, I know where my toast gets jammed. So anyway, Matt sucks, and that was not Zizor last week after lighting that fire.
Hey, don't jump the gun on my.
It was all because Corner. I said, and this censors at the ready, just because I called Captain's Corner bullshit. Openly on air. Anyway,
so
back to the episode. She asks about Anakin, and they say he's gone to inform the Chancellor about Grievous. That Obi-Wan has is presumably currently fighting him. In my mind, we cut to a
My
flash of
heart starts beating so fast.
Obi-Wan racing Grievous on that big wheel. He's on Boga chasing the big
lizard.
wheel. It's that scene. Let's just cut.
The dinosaur.
Let's check in with Obi-Wan. So uncivilized. And we're back.
Always on the move.
Yeah. And so that's where we are on the timeline. Grievous on Utapau and Palps reveal. It's the one where Palps reveals himself to Anakin first. Anakin's like, "You're the Sith Lord." And it's like taking.
And then
out,
they
taking
kind of
out.
have that standoff, and they like circle around each other.
He's like, "Use my knowledge, I beg you. I used to cook the Sith way. I can make some delicious food." He doesn't say that. Anyway, there won't be any more to a citizen. And then one by one, the hollows, as I said, the hollows go out. They won't say more to a citizen. And you say it's that Mace moment. You're like, oh, you're just so being the Mace that we know at this point. You are not helping yourself. You are not helping yourself, Mace Windu. Anyway, they all go out and declines to give Yoda a message for Anakin and says she'll tell him herself when she sees him. And I thought, I'm like, Caitlyn's dying right now, because the next time she sees him, it will be on Malachor, and he's going to be wearing a little outfit. And then Yoda says, "May the Force be with you, Padawan." And this is why Yoda's still awesome, because it reminds me how it's despite she's not a Jedi anymore or whatever, the clones still call her Commander. They all still call her Commander. This echoes that to me, whereas it doesn't matter, Yoda still calls her Padawan. She's not a Padawan, but to Yoda she is, and I feel like Yoda's almost saying, "You're still a Jedi, you're still one of us. Yeah. I know what's wrong," and it's like, the Force is still with you.
This reads to me very much as parents always saying to their kids, you'll always be like my child, basically. Like, no matter how you grow up, no matter where you go, you'll always like be like this big to me, kind of thing. Yeah. This very much reads as Yoda knows where she came from, and he knows what's important to her, and that's really what matters.
Yeah, and I think he's still holding out hope that she'll come back, and also they're going to need her. Rex points out to her that she didn't tell them what Maul said about Anakin, and she says, "No, I didn't." So we now, for the whole extension of what happened after that big scene in Revenge of the Sith, that is some insanely big cannon. So get the cannon ready and fire. And I also have to say, Ashley Eckstein's performance in this episode, and also this whole season, but this arc is just amazing. I don't think we've really talked about it as much as we should, aside from that one badass line reading last week. But it is incredible how you have season 5 Ahsoka and then season 1 Rebels. This is so perfectly in the middle. And as she said many times, it's like it was finding that not just Clone Wars Ahsoka again, but where she is in this step. I feel like they just nailed that. Like where she is in this moment.
Not to get ahead, we're going to get to it, but she has some of the best line readings of the whole series in this episode.
In this arc, it's like,
amazing.
Yeah. Anyway, so they're ready to take Maul back. He's imprisoned in an old Mandalorian force trapping box.
Awesome.
I think it's the canonical
which is really
name.
cool.
Very
it's
cool.
The last one, Bo-Katan says, because Satine outlawed them. And it's like a cross between a ray shield trap and a carbon freezing thing, and I like that it looked like it using some kind of ray shields inside, because that's how they trap him in E.K. Johnston's book. They trap him in a ray shield. So
I also like the design of the front of it, like the Mando helmet on it.
It's
like,
very decorative.
Yeah, it's a very decorative captive box, and it's like you can see why Satine is like, yes, they're very nice. We must outlaw them. But they kept Bo-Katan's like, we'll outlaw them, except this one, just in case. And I love it. Also conjures up so much. Of course, Mandos would have so many contraptions to capture Jedi because they fought them for so many years. It conjures so much old history there. That's just great. Right. Bo-Katan then says goodbye to Ahsoka, which is probably the last of that's the end of them. I think this might be the end of Mandalore, for this series also.
It is.
And they says goodbye to Ahsoka as they load Maul up on a shuttle, and there are it's important as they fly away, there are a lot of clones and tanks still on Mandalore. It's like, so Mandalore is still occupied by the Republic, and they're going to stay that way. Maul also breathing in his box, did that in a carbonite way or whatever, that totally, that evoked Vader for you guys?
Oh yeah. He's just like, he's pissed, man.
He's pissed. He's going crazy. Like, he is having a time.
Yeah. He has not had a good day. It has not been a good day.
It's been a long, horrible, very bad day for Maul. He
good.
He needs to go to the mall. Do you know, Matt? Do you know what Maul's canonical first name is?
I think it's Marty.
No, it's Strip.
Oh, Strip. Strip Mall. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Nailed it. Mind blown. And then there's this beautiful Caitlin just exasperated. You want to not laugh, but you're smiling. You're trying so hard to not enjoy that.
Oh my God.
You want to. Let yourself feel the joy. It's been a while. Anyway, they're on the Republic cruiser. This is really lovely scene with Ahsoka and Rex, and they have this conversation. And it's the calm before the Order 66 storm, and this is where she has that line that you talked about.
Yeah.
She says, "As a Jedi, we were trained to be keepers of the peace, not soldiers." And you immediately think of that Mace line from Attack of the Clones, but then she goes on and she says, "But all I've been since I was a Padawan is a soldier." Right. And it's a huge breakthrough there, and that's also something she learned in the Martez arc, where she learned like how an ordinary citizen lives or whatever. And she's gotten a little bit of that, but it's there's a difference between a soldier and a Jedi peacekeeper, Rex has known no other way also. He says, "I've known no other way. It gives us clones a mixed feeling about the war. Many people wish it never happened, but without it, we clones wouldn't exist." And this is a line, I think, Matt, you called this line out from a trailer a while back.
It is. It's in a trailer.
Yeah, as being important. It's like, it reminds me, I forget what season, but I think it's one of the Camino battle episodes where like, this is our war, and it literally is. Although it's like, these are our wars. I don't know if they should have said that, but it's true. It's like we're divided too, but literally it's named after us. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for it. So yeah, you could say our feelings are mixed.
Yeah.
And it's not, but after he says that, Ahsoka just has the nicest line. She says, "Well, then perhaps some good has come from all of it. The Republic couldn't have asked for better soldiers, nor I a better friend." And I'm just,
It's really sweet.
It's so sweet. And it sets up perfectly because the whole rest of this episode is these two, and pretty much it's not at all what I was expecting, because it's more it's not less intense at all, but it is as I said, way more intimate, and it's all Ahsoka and like saving Rex, really, and then Rex saving Ahsoka, the two of them finding a way through this together. And that is it's like, who's not in the movie? These two. It's like, okay, and it's powerful. It is it's so powerful. She then salutes him, he salutes her, echoing other scenes with them and their salutes, and it's brilliant. And this whole exchange about clones is loaded because of and we as viewers, it's also loaded because we know what's boiling over in the background. We know what's happening.
You can feel it. You can
right
feel
at this
it.
precise moment. You could feel it in your bones. You can feel Cody saying "blast him" like as this is happening.
Well, and also, did you guys pick up on the fact that like the music cue is like the same kind of eerie music that's between Padme and Anakin back on Coruscant in Revenge of the Sith?
Yeah,
Yep.
in that amazing scene that I love so much in Revenge of the Sith, and it also in what the music parallels are going to continue where we get into the next thing. It parallels the Order 66 music, as well as certain tracks on the soundtrack, like Anakin's betrayal, and then Anakin's dark deeds, and Enter Lord Vader. Little snippets of all of those tracks you kind of hear. So it's really cool how musically he ties it in as well. So you kind of know, not necessarily timeline wise where you are, but what the feeling is. It's kind of brilliant how he does that with the General Dread. A briefing's come in, and Rex goes to see the briefing, and Ahsoka declines, saying, "I'm sure it's more good news." And I just wrote, "It is not."
It's not.
And I'm just
It's
like,
not.
no, it's like, both of you get on a shuttle, get out of the ship.
Go,
Right now.
go,
Get
go,
out of the
go.
ship. Gorgeous shot of Ahsoka at the front viewport, not viewpoint. It's not a acting exercise. Sorry, Anne Bogart. As the cruiser is in hyperspace and she puts her hand behind her back, and it's totally the Anakin Vader pose. It's like Anakin Vader, hands behind the back at the viewport. And I was like, oh, that's so
Which we've seen a couple of times from Anakin in the Clone Wars. And, every single time I just sit there and go,
Yeah, he does it in Attack of the Clones, and he does it a lot in the Clone Wars. And then, of course, that kind of similar shots paralleled. Rey doesn't have the hands behind her back, but she has a similar shot in Last Jedi in front of the water hole where she with the mirror in it. That's what it's called.
The water hole. The dark side water hole.
See yourself in the mirror water. Go down there and there's a million of you in that water hole. It's an opening at Disney.
Have fun.
Next, the old water hole.
The water hole.
Good Lord.
The Lion King.
Then Maul's eyes open. Ahsoka also feels a disturbance, and it's this, all the way back from the first Star Wars, Alderaan gets destroyed. Obi-Wan goes like, feels something terrible's happened. It's the Yoda dropping his cane in the middle of Order 66. They're both feeling it. And then we hear lines directly ripped from Revenge of the Sith, and these are not actors from the Clone Wars. This is Ian McDermott's line from the thing. You must choose. And Mace says, don't listen to him. And then
it's Hayden Christensen coming in.
It's Hayden Christensen. It's with his lines, what have I done? And I swear maybe a little Matt Lanter blended in for just that one. I was like,
I would like to know. Like truly, I listened to it. I kept like rewinding a little bit just to see if I could hear it. And it sounds very similar to Hayden Christensen. Like if they put any Matt Lanter in there, like it's minimal.
It was only on the line, what have I done, that I thought I heard Matt Lanter. Because the rest is totally McDermott Jackson, especially Unlimited Power. There's no mistaking that. And normally I would love to be able to scream that right now, but I just am not.
Do it. Come on.
Okay. Unlimited Power!
Yes, there you go.
I can do it better, but another time. It's so interesting how they blended that in, a direct rip, and it's like is someone playing Revenge of the Sith in the next room?
I'm surprised they
sorry,
did that.
Is it too loud? I'll turn it down. It's at the good part though. You should come in and watch. And then we cut right to Rex, and he's watching the holo, and of course he hears execute Order 66. And he responds in a weird way. He says, "Yes, Lord Sidious." No other clone calls him that in the movie. No,
I wonder if that's
they all
just
say,
part of the
yes,
programming.
Yes, my lord. Yes, Chancellor, or something will be done. Nobody calls him Sidious. And I'm wondering if at this point, I'm like, is that code that he's playing along? But no, I think he's just, because he also was just there for hearing about Sidious in the last episode, that he just knows.
It might just like in his brain without him even realizing, like all the dots connect all at once, and
because it's not brought together as much as they talk about the overall plan in this episode. He doesn't say that's Sidious we're talking about. It's the Chancellor. They don't openly say it. So maybe in the final one they'll just, oh, by the way, the Chancellor's Sidious. It's like okay, just so we're on the same page.
Just so we're all on the same page.
It's like yep, okay. Rex starts to lose it here, and the other two clones, with Ahsoka's colors painted on their helmets, draw on her, and Rex says, no, he'll do it. And
he's like kind of shaking a little bit, and
he's
fighting it.
He's fighting it. I thought he was putting on an act, but it's like, no, he's still got the chip in him, and he's fighting it, and he manages to drop a mention of fives, and it turns out we'll find out why. It's very like he drops that, and he's still he's aware of that there's something wrong, but he hasn't fixed the problem. And Ahsoka takes out two clones wearing her, their helmets painted like.
She's gonna have
like
nightmares
her.
about that.
Yeah, and then closes her and Rex off, but then more clones come on the other side, and this is where more Revenge of the Sith music is playing. She escapes, and she's seeing Ahsoka fight the clones is odd, even though we've seen it in episodes like Brain Invaders and stuff like that. This is different. This is seeing it, this is no longer foreshadowing Order 66. This is literally Order 66. And something is off with Rex to the other clones. The other clones are like, are you okay? And he's like, Yeah, why? And he's like, his hands.
I'm fine.
He's like, I'm totally fine. How are you? I was like, you look weird. What's that about? He tries to shift it. To Mike Fernandez, the clone.
We can do this all day.
Yeah, it's like, you a scavenger? And he says he orders Maul just to be executed immediately. And I'm like, wow, I wonder if that was probably part of the programming too. It's like Sidious is now officially done with Maul.
He's like, got my apprentice time. Get rid of the other one. Come on, man.
It's like it's any other backups, outliers. It's like, we don't need that. Kill off
Clean
robots.
house.
Kill off robot legs while you're at it. He has outlived his usefulness. Rex lays out, just in case we had any questions, or if anyone hasn't watched Revenge of the Sith. Ray pops in, and they're like, "What's your name?" And she says, "Ray." And they say, "Ray who?" And she says, "Strip mall." No. Rex lays out what Order 66 is, in case we had any questions. He says it's the Jedi are executed for treason against the Republic. It's never been spelled out this clearly. And then he adds, any soldier who does not comply will also be executed. And that is a very important part of this, because say Rex says, I'm not going to kill Ahsoka, the clones would then just kill him. And that is going to, I mark my words, that's going to be huge in the finale episode. So cannon for that. Fire. Rex is now, I was like, is he playing a part or not? It's like, but he's not. Some part of him is aware. We already said this is fighting this. The clones are about to kill Maul, but then Ahsoka stops them, lets him out, and asks if this is his doing. And this is so much bigger than Maul. Maul senses the raging darkness and death. When Ahsoka,
he's just like laughing.
Yeah, and he's just, Ahsoka tells him what the clones did, and he's just, oh, that's brilliant. It's like he's just seen, Amadeus for the first time. He's like, oh my God. He's like, it's so elegant. It's so brilliant. He's like, I was not privy to my master's plan, but now I see it. He turned the Jedi's own army against them. It's like, so he was aware of some parts of this, again, the broad strokes, but a little detail like this. Yeah. And even Maul is in awe. He's like, oh, Lucas's overall scheme for Sidious in the prequels is amazing.
We were all Maul. We were all Maul in this episode. That was literally
He was sitting there going
oh.
like he's the It's Always Sunny meme where he's like going like
wow,
trying to.
Oh, it's brilliant, and it's like it all works. Yeah. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, thank you. Somebody said it, and it was Maul.
Yeah.
Who, yes, all these years still alive. But he still wants to team up with Ahsoka to survive this. He doesn't put his hand out again like, Anakin or Kylo, and his deal is better than the Skywalker deals again, but he doesn't do that. True. And she's immediately like, no, she's like, okay, no, that's not happening.
Come on, man.
But I do need a diversion. I need someone to cause some chaos. And that's
what, you're really good at
what
that.
Maul does. And I'm like, wow, she's just letting him out to cause chaos. And he says, care to give me a fighting chance? This is a great line from her. She says,
I'm not rooting for you.
Get going. It's like, I'm using you. It's like, I'm not a fan. Like, I do not stand
You're my sacrificial goat. Like, come on.
It's like,
go on.
It's like, go and sow some chaos, which is exactly how Sidious uses him, really.
Yeah.
So
doesn't she also say like we're not teaming up? Like she literally says,
it's like, we're not. Look, it's not happening. And also, he's like, care to give? It's like, do you want to give me one of those lightsabers? And she's like, look, I love the way Ashley delivered it too. She's like, I'm not rooting for you. Like, I'm not.
Come on, man.
Like, I'm not starting a fan club. I'm not starting a
give me some credit here.
A Reddit page that praises you. Now, just go. Clones are now sweeping the ship for them. Ahsoka enlists the help of some astromech droids. This was this is a random thing. I didn't see this happening in the episode.
But you know what? It's so important that they did this, because I think you can't have a Clone Wars finale without having a droid moment.
Yeah.
Like, there's been so much,
and they're limited
in this
because
series.
They can't have R2 because he's obviously has prior film engagements. So does 3PO. Chopper's not around yet. So it's.
Chopper is in this episode.
Yeah, it's true. It does have a little thing.
It makes sense that Ahsoka would turn to the droids right now, though.
Yeah,
it's Rey's line in The Rise of Skywalker: never underestimate a droid.
Never underestimate a droid.
Her important lesson from her master Leia. Which it's interesting. I love it that the clones have now turned against them, and so they go to droids who used to be their enemy. But it's interesting. But it's also I think that's why we had an R2 moment at the very beginning of this arc when Obi-Wan and Anakin were still in the Outer Rim sieges, because that was the last time we were going to see R2 on the show as well.
Right.
Because we know he's then going to be off with Captain Antilles, and unless we get Captain Antilles, the Disney Plus series, that's that.
One could hope.
Do you secretly want to play Captain Antilles?
I would love to play Captain Antilles.
All right. Well,
Waiting for that call, Disney.
I'll float it.
Float it out there. Yeah.
I'll float it. I'll run that up the flagpole, see how far it gets. Not far. Anyway, okay. No, it'll go far. Ahsoka enlists the help of these droids. Now she has one of them go into the computer and bring up info on fives because she caught the reference. And well played, Rex, fighting that out. And the records play of the fallout from the season 6 clone arc, and wow, is that important here? That arc is huge, and we knew it was going to be, but it's hugely important here. We hear the awful Kaminoan from that doing her horrible propaganda report, but there's also a grievance report filed by Rex, and it's sealed. So Ahsoka uses Anakin's passcode to get into it, as well as use his HBO Go account to finish off Chernobyl. So all of Chernobyl plays, and then we go, but the code,
and then we go back to the episode,
and then we go back into this. So so let's go through Chernobyl episode 1. Oh no, not really. So Matt, somebody pointed this out to us on Twitter right before we started recording. What the code is? Anakin's code is 12345, right?
Yes.
00000.
The same combination on my luggage.
Yes.
No,
yes.
it's what is it?
So this is from Flowdux at Alex W.H. Miller. He said that the code is 8108, and that's the exact date that the Clone Wars aired. But we think it's actually the movie,
The
right?
movie.
Yeah.
It would have to be the movie because
Yeah.
the Clone Wars, the movie, came out in August of 2008.
Yeah, but that's a great Easter egg, and thanks for calling that out,
Yeah.
Flowdux.
That is very cool. It's also like in Skywalker.
It's also the simplest freaking 4 numbers as your security code, Anakin.
3434.
God,
I don't know. It's
this
like,
just continues. I know that he's like currently in the canon. He's like really struggling. Like, what have I done? Blah blah blah. But he still is just a dumbass, you guys.
well, maybe
Anakin
he
is the
wanted
biggest
maybe he wanted
dumbass.
maybe he wanted someone to find this. Maybe he's like, no one can
that's just
find
his
this. It's like, I
general
agree,
security
no one can
code.
find it. So the code is going to be password 1. No one will find it. They're totally going to find it.
It's Shmi Skywalker's birthday. That's what that's what it is.
111. Shmi Skywalker's birthday, 1 AD. Anyway, so she gets in there, gets the grievance report and all of Chernobyl and all of the fine HBO programming. Rex on the Holo report says he knows this will fall on deaf ears, but he thinks the inhibitor chips the Kaminoans put on them have a purpose they don't yet fully understand. I'm like, hey, he found that out in that arc in season 6. Maul is now at the same time causing chaos as requested. He has no lightsaber, but boy, does he not need one. This scene was cool. He's advancing on the clones just using the Force and panels and doors to cut and chop and find shiplap hidden in panels of the ship.
You know what? Really, this really gave me a Vader's rampage in Rogue One.
Yeah, same. And then it anytime now somebody's limb gets chopped off in a door, I think Mandalorian, the premiere of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they really, it was
Which
violent.
also happens.
Like he's chopping off heads with doors and like.
Yeah, and you're like, what is Bulio next?
Bulio.
He's like, win the war. And there's
Hero.
saying that's what
Bulio.
happened to my leg. It got caught in a door.
Man,
Hey, Lars.
Lars,
Get out of here,
Seriously,
Lars.
shut up. God,
Jeez.
man, he's been.
How'd you
he's-
roll in here, Lars?
He's been quarantined with me for weeks now, and he's just really getting on my nerves. Anyway, Rex gets sealed off by the astromech droids, who now who are come play a little plan. They play a holo of Ahsoka saying she saw his report, and then she's actually right behind him. And one of the astromechs stuns him, and he's down, and they take him to the medical bay. A medical droid, the same model as FX7 from Empire Strikes Back, the one that takes Luke out of the Bacta tank. I think that's the first time one of these has been featured on the Clone Wars. I'm not sure, but it was cool to see it. One viewer will correct me. It's probably not, but it's the first time.
At least
I've
in this
noticed it.
larger role.
Yeah, and it was blatant. I was like, oh, there's FX7, but well, I guess it could actually be FX7. Who knows? Who knows?
Who knows?
But they're doing the investigation, the droid model, and the astromechs. We have the names. There are R7, GG, and Cheap.
I like cheap a lot.
CHEEP. Not like, hey, that's cheap, but like cheap, like a bird.
Yeah, I like the little noises that he makes. It's
Thanks
cute.
to the wonderful subtitles for the names. So for, I guess, Cannon Fire for R7, GG, and Cheap. We get one last little nod to the D
Heroes.
Squad.
Nomad droids.
For a second, I'm like, do we know these droids? Like, are these the D Squad
I
droids?
had a moment. I was like, it's been a while since I've watched D Squad. That's not no.
That would have truly blown my mind if they were the D Squad arc, and then I come out, and then I'm here. What's going on? What's Order 66? Anyway, and then Ahsoka puts her hands on Rex's head, and this, I'm gonna just say, mind blown for this, because I did not see this coming. She gives us the old Chirrut Imri. I am one with the Force, and the Force is with me. I am one with the Force, and the Force is with me.
And then Rex joins her.
Yeah.
And it's a true Force connection. And this is, I think you both know, is one of my favorite, has become one of my favorite lines in all of Star Wars. Like,
Yeah.
I say
Undoubtedly.
it to myself in personal life all the time.
It's a good mantra.
Where I'm like, scared or something, or something, just trying to get through something, or it's like, give me peace or the patience or something like that. I just find myself saying it, as well as I just love Chirrut Imri. But I couldn't, and you hear, okay, so that's just not something he made up. That's something that's in Jedi lore and that she picked up. But the use of it here, my favorite moment of the episode.
And we've said it 100 times already, but it's like these episodes are the connective tissue through everything, and now you got a little Rogue One dashed in
again.
there.
We had the Saw Gerrera before, we have the Rogue One here, we have Son of Dathomir there, we have Revenge of the Sith here, we got your Cassian Andor over here. Yo, you like your holiday special? Well, we put some holiday special in your Clone Wars, also in your car. So they throughout the whole. It's also the first time clones don't talk about the Force that often, so for one of them to be saying that with her, it's so amazing that it's Rex and Ahsoka saying this together.
It would be Rex, of course it would.
Of course, if it's going to be any clone, it would be Rex, and if he was going to say it together with any Jedi, it's fitting that it's Ahsoka. The chip, doing this, they locate the chip and they remove it, but right as they start to remove it, he goes into the space CAT scan machine so they could take it
That's
out.
exactly what it is.
And they're like, no, don't move or eat anything while you're in here. Clones burst in and they almost have Ahsoka, gives her all, but she's pinned against the wall and she does what she can. She lasts longer than Ki-Adi-Mundi would have. And then Rex comes to, and we don't see it, but we just see him taking out his blaster. It's like, oh, is he going to shoot her in the back? No, he blasts the clones instead. And she says, are you okay?
And now he's got like a neat little bandage on his head from where they yanked out the chip.
And he says, yeah, kid, I'm okay. I'm like, has he ever called her kid before?
I really liked it.
I
it
did
was
too.
Really sweet.
It's because also she's not a kid anymore, but also it's like, okay, well now it's kind of surrogate daughter time again.
Well,
it
also,
lines up with their relationship very well.
Yeah.
And also, Rex, aren't you like 5 years old? Like, I mean, did you
This
like
is true.
rapidly age,
He was born yesterday. Anyway, he apologizes, says he almost killed her. She asks how widespread this is, and he says, Ahsoka, it's all of us. The entire Grand Army of the Republic has been ordered to hunt down and destroy the Jedi Knights. Clones are breaking through the door again. Ahsoka and non-compliant Rex, because now Rex not only is not killing Ahsoka, but he's gunning down other clones. So they're both on the target list. They're coming through the door. The end. And that's the episode.
It was so stressful.
It's so.
It
I
was so
wanted so much
stressful.
more. I can't wait for Monday.
It was a very stressful watch. I have to say, if things, it's very interesting how this is tying into or not tying into. Again, I already mentioned it, but the novel Ahsoka by E.K. Johnston, because it's already quite different. Because a lot of this stuff happens on Mandalore. It's quite different. Maul's in a ray shield. And the thing is they're on Mandalore when they do this. Ahsoka has the choice. She can either capture Maul, keep Maul captive, or save Rex. Saving Rex means faking it so Rex fakes that he killed her so the other clones don't kill him. She can do that, or she can, continue to capture Maul. She can't do both. Of course, she chooses Rex. And he,
Her dad.
hides her lightsabers, and I think they both kind of fake their deaths, if I remember correctly. So I'm wondering if then that's going to be what the final episodes is going to include a moment like that. Or if they're just going to ditch that completely. It's interesting how they've just kind of, that was established canon in the book, and now it's just completely being changed. And to my mind, it's not a huge deal, but it's the first time that something in this new canon has been established in a book, and then a show has come along and changed it. It happened with the extended old EU all the time. But this is, because of the order it came in. I think if the Ahsoka book came after this, it obviously wouldn't be the case. But part of me is like, well, that's unfortunate. But also, do I want Filoni and companies, their creativity to be restrained by something that was, created years ago? It's something that it's just something on my mind, and I'm curious what E.K. Johnston, what her reaction is to this, and if
she's been on Twitter. She's been very positive. About
she's been hyping the hell out of all of this, and she's
a huge Star Wars fan. I think she's just excited to be watching it.
She also, has her. It's a prequel to her excellent Queen's Shadow is coming out in a few months. Queen's Peril. So she's still writing for Star Wars. I'd just be very curious as to what her thoughts on this, and if there is a way that it dovetails that I'm just not seeing. E.K. Johnston, you're not listening, but if you are, and if you hear this, we'd love to have you on the show.
Come on.
Anyway, Caitlin Bush, special thoughts, Caitlin Screams moments, favorite moments, general life thoughts. Go.
I think my favorite moment is Rex calling Ahsoka kid. I love that. I think it's very sweet. And I was very shocked to hear audio from Revenge of the Sith to come into play.
That's how they did it. They didn't reanimate it or revoice it. It's just ripped audio.
She hears it through the Force, which is very appropriate.
It's kind of brilliant where it's like, no, that happened. That was filmed this way. It's kind of like, well, that would be a little disrespectful to what Lucas did many years ago if they just redid that. There's no reason. Matt, what were you going to say, kid?
No, I was surprised they did that too. You would think they would just reanimate that scene, but that was like incredibly surprising. But I loved it. And I think the moments between Ahsoka and Maul, the not teaming up, those were my favorite parts of the episode. And Rex on Rebels had that scar where the chip was, so you always knew that it was removed, but now you know how it was. So
I love that we finally have that info. And then how the open question is how he then gets to Wolf and Gregor. I don't think we're going to get that on this series, but we know it wasn't Wolf that gunned down Plo Koon over Cato Nemoidia. So Wolf was on some other assignment, and Gregor is kind of lost in the wind at this point. But he gets to them at some point. But maybe that'll be a book or something. I don't know. Or it would be a cool comic. Final thoughts. Sommelier pairing. I'm just going to say Revenge of the Sith. Easy. The movie.
Yeah,
Revenge
there you
of the
go.
Sith. Just watch Revenge of the Sith.
Watch the movie.
Yep.
I'm realizing now it's like really should have done the Clone Wars movie 2 episodes ago.
We also it's worth noting we have one more episode.
Yeah, there's still, and I think it's what now? Caitlin Bush prediction for the final episode that's coming out on May the 4th.
God,
in
here's the
just
thing.
a couple days.
Is that I had thought that I had a firm grasp on what was going to happen. We knew the big points. We knew that, Ahsoka was going to fight Maul. We knew that somehow Rex was going to get the chip out. We know these things. I have absolutely no idea what is left other than Ahsoka and Rex somehow escaping the ship and parting ways. I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea.
Escaping the ship and Maul is still on the loose. So, how they end that whole thing.
Yep.
Or if they just leave him and he's just there. Everyone forgot about me.
And then maybe he just stays there for a while, decimates all of the clones on the ship.
Maybe just
and
kills
then
all the
takes
clones that are
over.
on that ship. Yeah.
Yeah.
We know he gets back to Crimson Dawn somehow.
Yeah.
Because I saw Solo. That is a rack. It is. And you just made a clicking sound with your mouth. Matt Romano, thoughts? Where do you think the final episode is going to take us?
I honestly I'm with Caitlin. I got nothing. Like, I don't know where this can go.
You have literally nothing.
Well, I mean, like, 'cause, yeah, I
You
don't
want
think
to play Captain Antilles and you have nothing?
I want you. Well, you know, I mean, among
No, I
other
don't
characters.
know.
Yeah.
Tell me.
But no, I mean, like, cause like I don't think we're going back to Coruscant. Like originally, I thought we were gonna get like that big epilogue where we kind of like see Revenge of the Sith in animation. I don't think we're getting any of that. I think it's just
we already saw it. We already have that movie. So let's
Yeah.
focus on the characters that aren't in that movie, and it makes perfect sense for the Clone Wars to the show to end with the characters that are not in the movie.
Well, and we need to
I
know
mean,
what
it makes
happens
sense to
to
end
the
with Ahsoka
clones.
and Rex.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah. It makes sense to end with Ahsoka and Rex.
Yeah, because they're originally created for this show, and they're not in the movie, and so we know those characters have their moment in the sun. So let's let Ahsoka and Rex that's finish strong with their story. It makes perfect sense. It's not what I was expecting though.
I'm gonna
it's
say
it's better than what I was expecting. I'll say.
I'm gonna say a time jump. I'm just gonna throw it out there. I think there's gonna be a time jump in the next episode.
Nice.
How far a time jump?
I'd be into that.
I don't know.
1,000
You know, I
years?
think we'll see them like wrap up what happens on the ship, and then the show will end with like a 5-year time jump where you just kind of see where Rex ended up. You know, Wolf, Gregor, all those guys. Like, I don't know, nice little button. That's what I'm gonna call it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't think
into
the
that.
show's going to end? You still don't think it's going to end with Anakin and Obi-Wan flying into the Battle of Coruscant?
No. I think that's over. Yeah, I think
You
we
think
knew
that's
that was
over?
past
You
that. Oh
think you
yeah,
can
yeah.
Put
Well,
a
was that a
Shoto
bad
lightsaber in there?
take at the start of this?
I
Wasn't
thought
the-
it was a
wasn't the best
great
take.
take in the beginning.
Thank you, Kate.
We saw the line. We saw the
great.
Windu line. How is it going to end with
Anyway,
that? Anyway,
we're gonna toss this out the crap.
That tube.
all right, Karkov. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this discussion of the episode Shattered. But join us on Monday, May the 4th, for the finale of Star Wars: The Clone Wars.
Yes, sir.
For real this time. For real. It's really the last episode this time.
Really. Promise.
And we're going to be discussing the heck out of it. So join us for that. And that's going to take us out. This is Jabba the Pod. To subscribe, click here. For more videos, click here. And for the full episode, the full oral experience, check us out wherever you get your podcasts.